All right, let's get your business news. Rapia Madena joins us, and the big issue, obviously apart from our rand, is what's happened with this crucial rail corridor due to cable theft. Tell us more, Rapia.
That's right. So from one calamity for an SOE to another one, Sally, operations are being suspended on one of Transnet two heavy haul rail lines, the iron ore corridor. So Transnet says this is due to cable theft that caused a power failure on Tuesday night. Now, the stretches for around 861 kilometers from the Sishen in the Northern Cape to Saldanha Bay in the West Coast. The line transport iron ore for export purposes and has become one of the economically important platforms. Joining us to unpack more about this issue is Bonginkosi Mabaso, who's the Chief Commercial Officer at Transnet Freight Rail. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. Give us a sense of what exactly happened during this instance of sabotage or cable theft, and how long the downtime was, and was there a backlog that was created?
Thank you, Rafia, and good evening to you and the viewers. On Tuesday evening at about 11 p.m., we got an alarm in our system that power went off. And of course, when we sent through the team to go and investigate, what we found was that 770 meters of cable were stolen on the line, on the ore line, which meant then that operations were immediately suspended. Upon suspension of the operations, the team was sent in to then do remedial work in reinstating the cable, and that took us about 24 hours. By the following day at 20 past 10 in the evening, the line was reopened and operations resumed. Needless to say, Rufiwa, the impact of this was quite significant, and I know we'll touch on that just now, but just to give you a snapshot of what this has done to us. We've lost an opportunity to move 5 iron ore trains, and the line also runs manganese, which has also lost about 2 manganese trains within the time, of course, of the impact. But it extends beyond that, in that we lost in total about R500 million as an economy in foreign earning opportunities, and about 60 million rands in revenue as Transnet.
That is very unfortunate indeed. So just clarify for us before we continue on, the capacity at which the rail line is operating at the moment then.
So the line has been reopened and we are back at full capacity. But what you need to maybe note, Rufiwa, is after an incident of this nature, for the line to fully function, it takes a bit of time. I'll maybe demonstrate this to you. Earlier in the year, we spent quite a lot of resources in maintenance on that very same line, which would then have eliminated speed restrictions along the line. Now, ordinarily in operations where there are maintenance issues on the line, we impose speed restrictions, meaning that trains run slower and therefore we get lesser trains on that line. After having invested in that maintenance, we reinstated the line back to its full capacity of 35 trains a week, and we started gradually ramping up towards that. When this incident hit us, we were stable at about 33 trains, which means we're very close to be running at 100% on that line. Now, an incident of this nature pushes us back and literally takes us a few steps back in the work that we've done since January this year, because when the line is reopened, it will then be a gradual move towards reverting back to the 33 trains.
Earlier this year, Transnet rejected, if you will, Kumba's interest in taking over the running of the iron ore rail line, according to some reports. Why was that the decision by Transnet when it's something that could assist with the issues that you have been faced with above and beyond the cable theft?
Rafiwa, first of all, let me just qualify that the ore line has not been significantly hit by these types of incidents. In fact, this is one of the very few and recent incidents of cable theft, and therefore the issues that would have resulted in loss of productivity earlier in the year were as a result of the issue of maintenance, which I've touched on. With us having invested the money in maintenance, we've been able to reinstate the line back to its 35 trains a week capacity. In essence, therefore, there is no need for a customer of ours or private sector to take up that line and operate it, because we have not demonstrated failure to sweat that asset and to maximize throughput to the asset. There are other areas in the business where we require partnerships insofar as investments in many areas, including cable theft and security, but this particular line does not require such. Secondly, a process of that nature where a third party is seeking to be involved in operations would require that it follows, of course, good governance. And you'll be aware, Rufiwa, that there is a white paper that is currently being effected, which will then see to third-party access. At that time, when the application came through, that was not in place, and therefore that could not be considered. Of course, any requests of that nature would require to undergo governance processes prior to it being effected. Particularly on the O line, though, as I've indicated, we have run it, and we've done so quite in a stable manner. And as I've indicated, we are now sitting at 33 trains a week consistently against capacity of 35 trains.
Thank you very much. This is definitely a conversation we'll continue to have as we find long-term sustainable solutions to a broad range of issues that is faced by Transnet Freight Rail and, of course, other SOEs. Thank you for giving us your time this evening. That is Bonginkosi Mabaso, who's the Chief Commercial Officer at Transnet Freight Rail. And that is, of course,